So far, 2 people are reported to have died in KwaMashu and Umlazi townships respectively, leaving scores more missing due to severe heavy downpours that continue to batter parts of KwaZulu Natal. The eThekwini's disaster management teams have been working throughout the night, responding to various incidents. The team has been on the ground assessing the extent of the damage, this as more heavy rain has been forecast for today. The KZN Department of Cooperative Governance has urged residents residing in low-lying areas to seek shelter on higher ground. eThekwini Municipality Mayor Mxolisi Kaunda earlier visited the areas that have been affected by the floods.
Most of the city's power stations, electricity power stations, have been flooded, and our teams were unable to access them last night. But our team started working on these facilities in the early hours of this morning. We'd like to urge our communities to bear with us while we are working to restore electricity supply to all residential areas and businesses. We want to assure the residents that we are attending to all these infrastructural challenges that we are faced with. There are certain water treatment plants and water mains that have been damaged, including those that belong to Mngeni Water. Our teams are on the ground to try and return the situation to normalcy. Our roads were not spared following the trees that blocked the pathways in many residential areas of our municipality. We continue to assess the damage, and further details will be given as the day progresses. At the moment, we can't be certain on monetary terms of the extent of the damage that we have incurred as a city. But we would like to caution and also issue an alert to all committee members that let us do all our best as committee members to ensure that if there is no emergency for committee members to go to town to leave their residential areas, they must remain at home. Where there are lower bridges next to the streams and the rivers, we also wish to appeal to our committee members to avoid those routes so that we are able to save lives, especially during this difficult time that we are faced with. As a city, we wish to express our heartfelt condolences to all families that have lost their loved ones during these heavy rains, and we are as a city going to be interacting with them to give necessary support wherever it is required. With that, we urge our people to utilize the city's disaster management call center by using the following numbers: 031 367 0000, 031 367 0000. The next number is 031 367 0039, 031 367 0039.
Ayanda. Well, for more on this story, let's cross now to my colleague Ayanda Mhlongo, who's standing by for us in Durban. A very good afternoon to you, Ayanda. A lot of damage caused, a lot of difficulties for local people there.
Very good afternoon to you, Nompu. Certainly a lot of difficulty, Nompu, for people across the city of Durban and other parts of KwaZulu-Natal. Just speaking to some of the people that have come out here to watch and see the absolute disaster here on the streets or the roads in Durban. We, in fact, are on the N2 southbound, and as you can see, that parts of this freeway have been completely submerged in water, but even
All right, we'll catch up with her a bit later. Let's get more around the weather conditions in KwaZulu-Natal by SABC News meteorologist Mpho Rasimpi. Thank you very much for joining us, Mpho. Just give us a sense of what causes these floods to happen, and do you get a sense of how much longer they're going to be going on, specifically in the KZN area?
Thank you so much, Nompu. Let me start by explaining the system that's causing all this flooding. We're looking mostly at a cut-off flow, what we call a cut-off flow. Now, cut-off flow is basically developing in the upper air system. Now, it becomes basically cut off from the system, and it develops into a low. And when it intensifies, it becomes a cut-off flow. That's why we see all this rainfall that is occurring. It started over the central interior, over Free State from Saturday, then moved towards the escarpment all the way towards KwaZulu Natal. But what makes this system very specific and make it very intense is because a low system developed. That's why we had so much rainfall. Margate reported about 311 millimeters of rainfall for the past 24 hours. Remember, 50 millimeters is considered heavy rainfall, which caused flooding. So you can imagine 311. That's like 4 times the normal amount of heavy rainfall specification of a normal rainfall. Now, in terms of the timeline of this rainfall, we're expecting it to continue for tomorrow, but Thursday should see a little bit of clearing. But unfortunately, another low is coming in on Friday, which means that more rainfall can be expected from Friday towards the weekend over KwaZulu Natal.
And just in terms of when we can expect this to come to an end, I mean, across the country, we've been experiencing a lot of rain. When do you hope that will subside, generally speaking?
You must remember, Numpu, as we've been saying from the weather desk, that this year from December we've been having our abnormal rainfall until May. So abnormal rainfall expected to end just before winter. Right now we are in the transition period where we're moving from autumn rather, towards winter. So I'm expecting it when the cold fronts start coming in from June because of the winter conditions. That's when I'm expecting all those rainy conditions to actually stop. And also, let's not forget, we are in our heavy rainfall season. Basically, that's when we're expecting all these cut-off flows from February towards May. So it is normal. As much as people can actually allude it to climate change, it is normal to have cut-off flows this time of the year, especially over KwaZulu-Natal and also Mpumalanga and Limpopo. Heavy rainfall as a normal occurrence this time of the year.
And one last thing, when I speak to lay people, other people generally, they say, well, if it's raining like this so badly, that means the winter's going to be really bad. Does that necessarily follow?
No, it doesn't. Remember, I think 5 years back we were in a drought season. We had one of the most coldest winters ever. So winter generally doesn't actually have any effect towards the rainfall that we're going to get during this period of time. But basically what I want to say is that people need to pay more attention to the weather, because it's a very important element of our lives. Now, in Southern Africa, we have a system. Tropic cyclone is the most dangerous system that we can actually have, but it really affects South Africa. I mean, the last system that I remember that actually affected South Africa significantly was tropical cyclone Idai. So cut-off flows are the most dangerous when it comes to rainfall and also flooding. So when you get a warning of an orange warning, level 6 warning of a cut-off flow, you know that it's going to be disruptive rainfall, it's going to be persistent rainfall, and it's going to cause a lot of flooding. We know areas which are flood prone. Now, if I give a warning in Gauteng of flooding, you know Centurion, Mamelodi, Alex are the flood prone areas. That's when we should take caution.
Mpo, thank you very much for your insights there. Mpo Rasimpi, our SABC News meteorologist. Let's go back now to Ayanda, who's standing by for us in Durban. Ayanda, over to you. Just tell us what's happening where you are.
Yeah, very good afternoon once again to you, Nompu. And as we're saying that it's absolute mayhem and destruction across the city of Durban, let me just quickly step out of shot for my colleague Tulani Ngobo, just to show our viewers what is currently happening here. We are on the N2 on southbound, just near the old airport. And you can see here, this is part of the freeway that has been completely submerged in water. But even more shockingly, Nompu, is to see these containers from a container storage a facility just across from this freeway that flew and were blown away by heavy winds last night, and that have just been strewn across the freeway. We're speaking to some of the locals here and the residents who are saying that they have never seen something like this. One gentleman was telling us that he was traveling along this freeway last night, and he thought he saw large pieces of cardboard that were flying across the air, and it was only when a large container fell just in front of them that he realized what was happening. And he said that people that were on the freeway heading home and to other destinations just abandoned their cars and tried to run for a cover. As I was saying, people here are saying that they have never seen anything like this, and really concerned, of course, of what is going to happen in the coming days. Earlier on, the mayor of eThekwini, giving a brief update in terms of the situation across the city and saying that this is a disaster. They've not update you as well, and our viewers, Nompu, is that the Premier of KwaZulu Natal, the MEC for Kokta, Sipho Hlomoga, and the Mayor of eThekwini, Mxolisi Kaunda, are going to be visiting affected families. We know that this afternoon they'll be paying a visit to a family in Hammersdale, in the area of Hammersdale, which is west of Durban, where we are told that 5 members of one family died there. We do not know yet the circumstances of what happened there, but many people, homes collapsing, mudslides, and the number of fatalities as well. We're just awaiting a statement from the Department of Cooperative Governance as they try, and there are people on their ground, the emergency services and the disaster management teams try to get to certain areas where we are told there have been fatalities. At the moment, we can not give an update as to how many people have died as a result of these floods, but we should be getting that information in about 40 minutes time, according to the Department of Kokta. Of course, another situation in Nompu has been that while the roads are completely flooded and access to the city, in fact, if you're in the city you cannot get out, and if you're in areas from the north, from the south and west of the Durban CBD, people have been struggling. What would ordinarily take people 10-15 minutes to be able to get to work and other parts of the city takes up to 2 to 3 hours today. We've also seen that warnings are continuing to be issued by emergency services for people to stay away from low-lying areas that are prone to flooding. Of course, electricity has also been cut off in many parts of the city. Water as well. Some areas are without water, as we understand that pump stations and reservoirs have also been flooded, and so evacuations are also taking place. I don't know if my colleague Tulani can just pan and see a helicopter. There have been a number of helicopters, and we understand that these are rescue helicopters that have been flying over us, assisting to reach some areas that are being hard to reach. Evacuations in many areas are taking place. Now, we've seen a number of these helicopters that have been flying over us to try and reach areas that are inaccessible on the ground. So it's all hands on deck, Nompu, at the moment. Emergency services have been working throughout the night. They are still out trying, as I said, to get to certain areas to rescue people. Recovery efforts are also underway, and this is a city, Nompu, that is at a complete standstill at the moment as these heavy rains continue to batter parts of eThekwini and KwaZulu-Natal. Nompu?
All right, Ayanda, thank you. We'll get that comprehensive report from the authorities in about 40 minutes, as you say. Ayanda Mhlongo reporting there from Durban.